All right, we're going to be doing the doors on this this building over here. I've got an external wall, I've got an internal wall. You can see that they've got a D1, a door 1, and a D2, which is a door 2. This D1, we are going to be using this metal frame over here, and we're going to draw that in. For this D2, we're going to be using this wooden frame over here. You'll see over here that I've taken a calculator and I have divided these measurements by the scale, which they say is a scale 1:25. Right, so I'm going to start out and I'm going to take, first of all, the distance of this 10.48, but I need to get that exactly in the middle of this thing. All right, so I'm going to take a little line at 45 degrees there, a line at 45 degrees there, and I'm going to find the center of that wall. There we go. I then take out a circle stencil, and 10.48, that is very slightly bigger than 10. I'm going to take my 10 millimeter circle stencil over here, and I'm going to pop that in. Let's just get that right. There we go. There's the 10 millimeter circle stencil, and I draw a little construction line arc on either side of that. Now, obviously, it's 10.48, so I'm not going to go right up against the edge of that circle. I'm going to go very, very slightly out, just to give me that little extra on either side to give me that 10.48. You'll see that there's a small gap there, small gap there, just to give me that idea. Right, once I've done that, I can then draw in a line coming straight across over here, line coming straight across over there, and from there I can then start measuring up. It says that I've got a 1.12 millimeter gap. 1.12. I don't need you to take a pair of dividers and try and measure that 1.12. You know what a 1 millimeter gap looks like. And you can guesstimate that quite nicely. It's approximately that sort of gap over there. And then once you've got that, it says that you need to go out 0.48. So obviously if that's your 1.12, you are going to put a smaller gap over there, coming out over there, just to get that smaller gap sticking up. I've got 50 millimeters over here. I'm going to say, well, I know that would be 2 millimeters. Take your 2 millimeter circle stencil and you drop that in over there. Sorry, 2 millimeter. Sorry, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, 2 millimeters. 2 millimeter. It'll be there and there. And that can come down a millimeter gap on that side, a millimeter gap on that side. I can now draw in the story line going over there, line coming down very slightly over here, line coming down over there, line coming across over here, line coming across over there, drop that down over there, drop that down over there, and we're going to do the same story on this side. There, there, line coming across. Let's get that in place so that I've got some lines to work to. There and there. Line coming across over here, line coming across over there, small gap over there, line going across over there, line coming down in there, line coming down in there. Right, it is an external door, which means that I have got a door that needs to swing in this thing. Now, generally we say that our doors will swing towards the wall. Note where the hinges of the doors are going to go. The hinge would be at that point over there. I'm going to extend my door to that point over there. Okay, so in other words, that internal frame, if you look at it, the internal part over there, that's where my door is going to sit in that little piece over there, my hinge at that point over there, and I'm going to draw an arc coming around over here. Let's draw an arc coming around. And once I've done that, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to draw in a nice dark line going up to that arc over there. I then say, all right, what is the width of that door? Obviously the width of the door is going to be the same as that little gap over there. Pop that in over here, mark that off, and I can now draw in a door which is going to go in like that. And I'm going to draw in a line coming across like that, and a line going over there. There is our first door done. The second one is a wooden frame over here, and I need to draw all of that out. I take this thing, I get the center of that wall first of all. Just get me a pencil quickly here. There we go. I'm going to take a 45-degree line there, a 45-degree line over here, and I'm going to drop a line coming down over here. And then I'm going to measure out. It says 67 millimeters. That's 2.67 millimeters. Okay, so 2.67. You can see I can measure that off somewhere over there. 2.67 millimeters going out. Just draw a line coming out over there. It says that this thing is 5.36 millimeters. Okay, so again, take your circle stencil, get the 5 millimeter circle on this thing, and you're going to draw a little arc on that side, a little arc on that side. You have just on the outside of that, there we go. On the outside of that, there we go, just to give that little extra than the exact 5 millimeters. Once I've got that in place, I then drop this thing back. It says 5.5, that would be 2.2 millimeters going up over here. So 2.2 millimeters, that's about over there. And I can now draw in a line coming across over here. It says 45 millimeters, that's 1.8 millimeters. So I go dashing back that 1.8 millimeters there. Take that down over there. Take that up to there. Take this across over here. Drop that down over here. And I have got that little story in there. I'm going to do the same story over here. Little line coming up. There's that little dash down over there. Take a line coming across over here. Take that across over there. And I have the little door frame in place. My door is swinging towards that wall over there. I'm going to take my pair of compasses, stick it in where the hinge would go, take it across to where the door would slide into that gap. You can see it sliding into that gap over there. I'm going to then draw an arc coming around like that. Take a line coming across over here. Nice dark line coming down over there. I need to measure that little gap that I've got over there, that 45 millimeters, or real life 45 millimeters. Mark that off over there. Whoops. And I'm going to just draw a line coming down over there. Draw a line coming down over there. Draw a line coming down over there. And then repair the damage with an eraser. Hopefully this thing will work. There we go. Okay, just rubbing that little line out over there. There we go. And just repair the damage a little bit. It was a bit of a pity. There we go. And there we go. Right. These measurements, they are very, very, very small little measurements. You'll note that the accuracy is not crucial, but try and get it as accurate as you possibly can.